Hey everybody, hope everybody's recovery is doing well. Just got out of a Smart Recovery meeting a couple hours ago. It was pretty productive. Today I wanted to talk about step 12 of AA, which is you had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps, and you pass those along to other people and pass it along through your everyday affairs. I put that in there because AA, obviously, they say pass it along to alcoholics, NA, other people that use substances. But having a spiritual awakening is something that I deem that comes within versus working steps. You can work steps all day long, and it doesn't make a difference. Even 99% of the sponsors out there have never had a spiritual awakening when it comes to the 12-step program, and many sponsors relapse. So for me, my spiritual awakening, and I'll tell you my story, is that the last time I drank, I went into the hospital. I was there through a detox portion of it where it caused me to have AFib of the heart. A couple days later, I had a doctor come in, grab my hand, ask me how things were going, and then he asked me if I drank. And I said I didn't drink. And he kind of smirked like, "You don't drink?" He goes, "Let me ask you again, do you drink?" And I said, "No, I don't drink." And he goes, "How many more signs do you need from me before you stop drinking?" And I said, "What did you say?" He goes, "How many more signs do you need from me before you stop drinking?" And that kind of shook me to the core. I'm a spiritual guy. I'm not a religious guy. But that day I understood that I was talking to something higher than myself. And he asked me again, "Do you drink?" So I said, "I don't drink." And he had me repeat it over and over and over for about 5 minutes, screaming it in an ICU unit in a hospital. He said he'd come back a couple days later, discharge me. And a couple days later, he came walking back in, said, "Do you drink?" I said, "I don't drink." Pretty powerful stuff as far as it goes, because I knew I wasn't talking to something. I wasn't talking to the doctor at that point. I was talking to something higher than me. I had the spiritual awakening. I wasn't working steps. I wasn't working anything. I was trying to work on my recovery, and it took that little piece to get to the root of my spirituality. It actually shook me to the core enough to where I had to stop. Can't explain it, but I think that day saved my life. I hope everybody finds their spirituality. Don't go out looking for it, because I think when you look for it, you're looking too hard and you're not concentrating on your sobriety or your recovery. Steps, great. You can work the steps all you want. If AA works for you, fantastic. I'm not knocking AA. All these videos I've done, I'm kind of giving you a contrast between AA, NA, and Smart Recovery. I'm trying to give you the differences. I'll talk about step 13 next time. Some of you might be like, "What? Step 13? Yeah, there's a step 13. But step 12, you don't have a spiritual awakening because of the steps that you worked. Spiritual awakening becomes between you and the higher power. And sometimes you need that push to pull you over the top. When the doctor had my hand that day and he was looking into my eyes and he kept saying, "How many more signs do you need from me?" I wasn't looking at God or a being. I was actually looking at myself. I actually believe that. In his eyes, I was looking at the higher power of me. It's kind of like looking, and I just felt like I was holding onto a cliff by the fingernails, and then the higher power of me came up and said, "Hey, it's time to get up," and pulled me up out of that cliff. Kicked the bottle off my leg, pulled me up off of that cliff. That's my understanding of step 12 of AA. I just wanted to pass that along, give you a little bit of my story. I've been sober ever since. It shook me to the core. And I think when you have that spiritual awakening, it kind of shakes you to that core. And because it's in here again. You know, it comes within your soul and your heart. So keep that in mind. Don't go searching for spirituality. It'll come to you. Work this 12 steps if you want to. I kind of gave you a rundown on every other video on what I believe they do and what they are. If Smart Recovery is good for you, it's cognitive behavioral therapy that addresses triggers and why you're doing it versus looking for something and being powerless. Smart Recovery gives you the power back. So keep that in mind. Hope everybody's doing well. Be calm, stay sober. Love y'all.